Joe Bartozzi with Mossberg, Senior Vice President and General Counsel with the company, joins us on the program. Joe, thank you for your time today, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you today?
I imagine I'm probably better than you're doing right now,
Yeah,
Joe.
I suppose that's true.
And listen, let me first of all just say, gun owners across the country, I know we sympathize and we are heartbroken about what's going on in the state of Connecticut. Nobody has a lock on caring for children, and no one side of this issue cares more than other about public safety. This is a policy argument, and the state of Connecticut, it appears, has decided to try to make the city streets safer and try to make that state safer by going after law-abiding gun owners.
Yeah, we've made the argument since day one up there, and I've been up to the Capitol numerous times and try to impress upon them that you want to do something that's going to promote public safety. We all support that, but to infringe upon law-abiding gun owners is not the way to go. The issue is preventing access by criminals and those that are mentally not capable of handling firearms safely.
So, Joe, how are these new rules going to impact Mossberg?
Well, obviously some of our product line will no longer be able to be sold in Connecticut. Although, because we make so many pump-action shotguns and so forth, those rifles and shotguns that we make that are going to be legal still are not going to be affected. But as a manufacturer, we're looking at the big picture here, and we're saying, well, I'm taking stock of the bill and seeing how much of it's really going to affect us in Connecticut. It's important to us, but I don't know the total impact because, again, trying to decipher what's in this 139 pages is proving quite daunting.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And again, some of these measures go into effect right away, which has to be even more concerning for you because now you're really operating under laws that nobody quite understands yet.
And there's no vehicle in the Department of Public Safety to affect some of the transfers and some of the paperwork that's going to be required now. So, I think we're going to see over the next week or two more trips back to Hartford to work with legislators to try and better define some of these, frankly, ill-conceived provisions.
I know that one of the questions that gun owners are asking manufacturers in states like New York and Connecticut and Maryland and Colorado as well, can you continue to operate in a state that has become so hostile towards the industry? I know that there is a manufacturer's exemption put in this legislation so you can continue to manufacture products that won't be able to be sold in Connecticut. I confess I don't understand that point of view from a gun control standpoint, but it's there. Have there been discussions within Mossberg about moving some or all of the operations out of the state of Connecticut?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been having these discussions for quite some time, and additionally, what many people don't recognize or perhaps aren't aware, Mossberg actually has a large facility in Texas where we do a lot of our work there. So we've already for the past several years have begun to make that transition. The thing you have to also recognize, though, and again from a manufacturing perspective, is we've got 4-generation Mossberg family running this business. The people in our factory here have been here, many of which for a very long time. People like myself, I've been with the company more than half my life. And we've got really highly skilled people here. We've got very sophisticated state-of-the-art equipment here. And we obviously don't want to hurt our loyal employees in Connecticut because of some misguided politician in Hartford. And we have to be very careful not to hurt our customers in terms of providing them with good quality, reliable products, because such a move would be very disruptive. But again, much of our work is already being done in Texas, but we have a significant manufacturing presence in Connecticut, but the assembly of most of our guns actually is done in Texas these days.
Yeah, and it's a very good point, Joe, that you make. I've had conversations with gun owners who say, I don't understand why these companies stay in places like Massachusetts and Connecticut. And when you explain, look, it's not just staying in a state, it's staying in a town. And it's staying in a community where you have, real blood ties that have been built up. It is a painful decision. And, I've talked with Les Baer from Les Baer Custom. They moved their shop from Illinois right across the river into Iowa. They were able to do that and find a much friendlier business environment without having to disrupt the lives of their employees because they just moved their location a few miles away. You guys can't really do that in Connecticut. You can't move to New York. You can't move to New Jersey. You can't move to Rhode Island or up to Massachusetts. If you're going to move, you're going to move.
Yeah, we're surrounded here, in a sea of blue, unfortunately. But the point you make is absolutely correct. We've got some highly skilled engineers, highly skilled machine operators, I mean, and frankly, our CEO is fourth generation Mossberg family. There are people in our factory right now that knew him when he was working part-time as a high school student here. I mean, this family goes back deep in this state, and we respect our employees. We know everybody knows everybody. It's a family business, and we really don't want to hurt them. And by the way, this is or it was Gun Valley. So the skills that people bring to us here have developed over generations in this part of the country. Unfortunately, our politicians have decided to turn their back on the heritage of their state and the heritage of this part of the country. And frankly, this was the arsenal of democracy for so many generations. They've chosen to turn their back on that tradition. Happily for us, we've got skilled employees. Sadly, we can't just move around the corner or across the border because there's no friendly border in sight.
What is the mood there at Mossberg today, Joe, among the employees?
Well, we had a brief meeting this morning with many of our people, and many of whom came to Hartford yesterday with me to meet with our state representative and to urge them to not pass this legislation. Basically, we told them that we are doing the best we can to fight for the rights of all citizens in Connecticut. We are obviously keeping an eye on how this is going to affect our business. We don't know the final outcome because, as I mentioned earlier, I'm still slogging through the 139 pages, but that they should rest assured that we're going to do everything we can to fight for their job and their rights as citizens.
I don't know if you can answer this question, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyway. Have there been any discussions within Mossberg, or perhaps even the industry as a whole, about the industry challenging in court some of these new laws?
We have not discussed it internally. However, in my preliminary looking at the bill, there may be some provisions that would stand a very good challenge in court. I also wonder, kind of out loud, whether the process, this emergency procedure, the so-called emergency procedure that they used to pass this through the House and the Senate, I wonder if that process might not withstand court scrutiny because, as you know, I mean, firearms ownership is a fundamental right. Look at the Supreme Court decisions that have come down recently. And I just wonder if that's something that may be challengeable in light of the fact there were no public hearings after the bill was actually formally put together. Now, we know for sure that this bill was written up late Tuesday night. Mm-hmm. In fact, we were driving to Hartford on Wednesday morning for the votes, and we were just getting emails with draft text of the bill. So we know that it came out somewhere in the dark of night, that the senators and the representatives had literally a few hours to digest all of this information, and I don't think that's the best way to promote democracy in a free society. So might be there be some challenges. I haven't had any of those discussions with anyone else in the industry, but as an attorney, I look and say, I wonder if there isn't some possible mechanism here to do so.
Yeah, and Joe, you talk about the going to Hartford, and I'm glad to know that some of the employees were there yesterday. I mean, again, more than 1,000 gun owners there in the state capitol. When it was Gun Lobby Day, you had some 3,000 people show up there. Governor Daniel Malloy at the time called the folks who showed up the fringe of the fringe.
Yeah.
He would not even walk through the crowd of gun owners yesterday, as I understand it, at the state capitol.
That's correct.
The outright hostility that has been displayed by elected officials towards people who are exercising that fundamental constitutional right. Again, I mean, I'm lucky. I live in Virginia. I haven't experienced anything like this, but it really seems like there is this not just a legislative attempt to pass gun control laws, but an attempt to change the culture to make it culturally and socially unacceptable to be a gun owner in the state of Connecticut.
You do hear that from the elected officials, and one of the things that I would say about, or maybe there's 2 points I would make about Connecticut in general, for those that don't live in Connecticut that may be hearing this interview, the House and the Senate are both dominated by Democrats. The governor himself is a former big city mayor who had no love for guns as a mayor. So this is not unexpected when you have one-party rule. It's a very, very dangerous thing. And I think the framers of the Constitution saw that, and that's why they hope to have checks and balances and have a House and a Senate to be able to play off each other. But when you're in a spot where there is simply all three branches are controlled, or all three groups are controlled by the same party, that's a real problem. At least before Governor Malloy, we had a Republican governor, who could temper some of these things, could veto things that were objectionable. But here, they could. I mean, it didn't matter. Like, take for example this bill here. Even if every Republican voted no, that bill was going to pass because the Democrats have overwhelming majorities in House and Senate, and they have the governor. So we were really in a no-win situation here. And we fought. I will tell you that, I can't tell you how many times our people, myself and several others in this company, have been up there, meeting with our legislators, talking to them, and it's been a real I mean, I hate to lose. It's a very frustrating day for all of us. But the cards were stacked against us from day one, unfortunately.
Absolutely. I think you're right, Joe. And listen, I know we're going to be talking in the future, but bottom line, best of luck to you, all of the employees there at Mossberg, and all of the gun owners there in the state of Connecticut.
We appreciate your support, and thank you very much for all the stuff that you guys and the NRA do for us.